Sandra is an addict. Yeah.
Good evening, St. Lucia, and welcome to our first episode of 758 Sports Talk for the year 2018. And we do have so much to discuss, so much to get into tonight, but I am just excited and happy to be with you guys tonight. I must say that I really appreciate the support, even when we're on break, from the supporters. Let's see. I have to start off with Grosely. Obviously, Jean Grosely, you guys have supported me from childhood when I was in sports and now in sports broadcasting. I see your comments, I see your encouragement on St. Lucia Sports Online, and I must say, I really, really appreciate the support. I really do. Persons who share the stories, go on St. Lucia Sports Online, share the stories with friends, those of you who've liked, who've shown their support by liking the page and constantly going and checking on the page. And I must say that since I've been here at DBS, I can see even more and more support. And I really appreciate it. Apart from Grosely, Denry, boy, I love your people. Definitely continuing to encourage me. Every time I see you all in town, every time I see you all everywhere, I must say I miss you all in the sense that I have not been able to, for no fault of mine, go and enjoy some sporting activity in Denry. As we know, the field is still under construction, or construction has been halted. And I keep remembering that first time I saw football under lights in Denry. They literally brought floodlights all around the field. They were movable and they had a big final there, and it was just amazing to see that support. And now, I mean, I see it in the Mabia Valley, and even when I'm in the Mabia Valley, I say, when will I be able to go to Denry again and enjoy that ambience? But thank you guys for the support. There is so as well. You guys really, really support, and I could see from all the analytics on St. Lucia Sports Online, you know, where people coming from and that sort of stuff. And definitely have to give you all your shout out and thank you guys for your continued support. And View Fort, Philip Master Ground. View Fort, moving the Coco Bellas, Manuel Bellas, Bosco, Easy. Let me tell you, all you guys, I mean, thank you guys. I mean, G Dog, always supporting a young man with ambition of broadcasting every single thing that happens. And when, let me tell you, I mean, financially, I mean, the time investment and that sort of thing, I will never be able to be paid for that, and I understand that. But the support from these people, from those communities, I must say thank you guys. My Jacques Rosales, thank you guys so much. And I'm happy to be here tonight. I have to start from Friday because I think even before Friday, I think on Wednesday, ESPN came out with a sort of a snapshot. They were looking at the West Indies team, the under-19 cricket team, because they were the defending champions of the under-19 World Cup. And for sure, you know, all the focus was on Glitteran. captain, vice captain from Trinidad and Tobago. And I mean, I sat down and I looked at the documentary, and I only got a brief view of Kimani Melius. Now, as a St. Lucian sitting down there, you want to, you want to look out for when the solution would come on screen, just for you to feel that sense of pride. And a very short time, Kimani came on screen. Then, fast forward, Friday night, the game is being played. And even before, they're talking about everybody else. Who to look out for, who are the main players, who can actually do it for West Indies. No mention Kimani Melius. And then I got to understand, because he started saying Mel us, Milius, and they couldn't get it right. And I kept sitting there and thinking to my mind, Kimani, let these people know your name. Let these people know where you're from and who you represent. And let me tell you, on Friday, I met people who said, oh my God, he should have scored 100. Oh my God, he should have gone on to do more. First international knock, to come out there and play with that level of confidence, that command and technique and ability from Babono, St. Lucia. By the way, I must shout out Babono as well. You guys support your sports for sure. Shout out Babono football team. These guys let me down every time, but yeah, shout out to all you guys, the Maya and the guys. Babono was on scene. St. Lucia was on the map. And let me tell you, I was not surprised that despite the fact that Simmons top scored, that Ian Bishop went to Kimani Melius for that post-match interview, that interview in between innings. And again, true to who he is, very humble. He spoke and he thanked all those who helped him out. And he said something that will register with me. I am not satisfied. I cannot be satisfied with this performance. Just a desire to continue. And I must say, St. Lucia, positive. St. Lucians have been very positive in terms of the online, what they've been seeing on St. Lucia Sports Online and that sort of stuff. Really, really good. And I must say, very proud of Kimani Melius. And I'm pretty sure that I will be getting flooded with messages of congratulations. But the job is not done. I spoke to Alton Crafton yesterday, and he said that he appreciates the support that St. Lucians are showing for Kimani, and they should really continue. But we need to keep him grounded and make sure we continue to encourage him, because it has just started. As fate would have it, West Indies went on to lose that game, but I don't think there was a single St. Lucian after that knock who really, really cared whether or not West Indies won. I think a lot of us were really happy with Kimani's performance. We would have loved to see West Indies win, but it is what it is. Very proud of Kimani, and shout out to his family. Some of his family reached out to me to tell me thank you for the post on St. Lucia Sports Online, and pretty much letting St. Lucia know what happened. So we need to keep paying attention to our young one. Definitely, I had a conversation with somebody, a cricket lover, who believed that the St. Lucia Stars, in the coming draft, they have to declare the players they're keeping by the 26th. But the coming draft, they should really consider at least having Kimani Melius be part of the makeup of the team. The person wasn't suggesting that we get him on the team immediately and put him out there, and I mean at 16, 17, putting him under that sort of pressure. But in terms of getting the experience, in terms of getting some of the conversation with the main players, with the veterans, and getting that experience, I think it would be good for the Stars to look at that as their next investment. All right, so Kimani Melius, keep it going. We definitely are behind you for sure. Veterans football. Quarterfinal stage of the Plate Championship. I was able to go down to the Mabia Valley to take in some of that. And I must tell you, when I walked in there, I could have sworn perhaps that Valley Legends somehow was playing on Saturday night. Because, I mean, people were dressed up, people were... Let me tell you, and I had to remind myself, I'm in Larissus, the Mabia Valley, and Mabia Valley is not playing tonight. We had two games, the VSADC featured in one of them, and I mean, you could have sworn that the Valley people were playing in that game. And I mean, I had to just pan out and put it online to show St. Lucia what sport support is, because these people came out there, had a good time, they enjoyed the games and that sort of thing, and it was a really, really nice crowd, a really nice vibe. In terms of the results, Caricom Masters, they took on Marsha, and I will get to Caricom Masters in a little bit. I'll get to Caricom Masters in a little bit. Labowie Connections and Viewfort North. I must say that game was pretty interesting. I mean, this guy started really, really fast. I mean, I really thought that Viewfort North would have, the way they came out, they got an early opportunity. That ball seemed to have crossed the line. Nobody knows. I cannot tell you from the vantage point that I had whether or not that ball crossed the line. But they were able to go on top early in that game. But Labowie Connection, as we've seen in the matches leading up to that tournament, it's a bit loud, Junior, so I'm barely hearing myself. In the matches leading up to this event, we could have seen that Labowie Connection was a fit side, and they played together, they warm up together, they did everything together, and so they really came out in that game and came back, and they were able to pull out the victory against Viewfort North. So well done to Labowie Connection, making it to the next round. In another game played, the Flow Lancers, they took on Labry Veterans. Flow Lancers was a team that many thought would have been in the Caribbean Alliance Gold Cup, would have been playing for the Gold Cup. I mean, if you look at the composition of the team from the back, very good. Evans got the back and very talented players playing, and obviously Nigel Springer, very good striker in his day, and he still looks very, very good. And they were able to come out and really dominate at the end and win over Labry Veterans. So definitely Flow Lancers, like I've said, is a team to look out for. If not this year, if they do not go on to win the plate, which they have a very good chance of doing, I think next year with the inclusion of Trevor, Crazy Daniel on their team, definitely a team to look out for. So well done, Flow Lancers, making it to the next round, the semifinals. VSADC, behind the College All-Stars, a rivalry game. That's a derby. That's a Castries derby. You have to call it that, because, I mean, both teams from the Castries Basin. Behind the College played well, but we just saw a touch of brilliance catching the keeper off guard by Benjamin Satan Gabriel. And that is why you have a player like a Satan in your team, can score from anywhere at any time. I mean, I remember when he was playing for Ancillary, Black Hat, I mean, Mindo Phillip Park, from anywhere, from midfield, anywhere. Very prolific striker, and we saw that quality perhaps one of the goals of the tournament, and the VSADC, they got over behind the College All-Stars. So the other game was between Caricom Masters and Marsha. Now I said let me leave Caricom Masters for last, because I do not understand how you could have a formula that seemed to have been working, in the sense that Caricom Masters have not lost a single game in this tournament. A single game. They are in the plate championship. They drew a couple of games. And I mean, when you're looking at playing against Viewfort Central, coming out with a draw, I mean, they are in the plate championship, but they seem to have, at very least, come out at least with a point. And I must say that I was a bit surprised. Now, I know it's veterans football, so I was of the impression that perhaps Alvin Malakan was injured. I came on to the field and I saw the starting 11 lineup, and then I saw Malakan not starting. This is the best year I have seen in Alvin Malakan. He clearly, off the ball, his movement, I mean, he seemed to be faster than most of the defenders. He seemed to be moving so well. I mean, I cannot understand how a man has improved over the last year. The team has been doing well over the competition. He had the fastest goal in the competition. He hit the bar in that same game and seemed to be gelling with a team that continued to win. Yes, they won that game, but I was wondering why wasn't he starting? And then when I saw him after, in his normal smiley way, asking if he injured and that sort of thing, he said no, and he just continued on. I was just like, what is going on in that team? I mean, they seem to be gelling together, and I fear that if they continue to just play around, just as they in plate, they may find it difficult come the semi-final. So I don't know what is going on, but I mean, congratulations, they into the final four of the plate. They definitely one of the teams to look out for every year. They are former champions, But hopefully they get everything correct. Sullivan is my partner. He's a coach. I don't know. I don't know if there is a discussion between the team and the coach as to how things go. But I mean, if your team, if you have a starting 11, like, what's going on? Anyway, so we're moving on to the semi-finals. The semi-finals, we will see VSADC taking on Flow Lancers. That is on January 27th. That game will be played at the Philip Master Grounds. VSADC will be playing against Flow Lancers on the 27th. So very good game. VSADC obviously three-time champions of the main championship, and Flow Lancers obviously with something to prove. So that should be a very interesting encounter. And then Carica Masters, hopefully they get the tactics right. They will come up against Labowie Connections. Look out for Labowie Connections. These guys were determined to do a lot this year. They trained hard. And so that should be a very interesting encounter. Both games will be played on the 27th of January at the Philip Marsley grounds. Of course, this is the venue for semifinals and finals nowadays. And I mean, if you go over there, you'll understand why. All right, so looking ahead at the main championship will be moving to the Philip Marsley grounds this weekend. That's Saturday 20th. From 6 p.m., we will see Ancillary, undefeated Ancillary, taking on Valley Legends. Now, this is going to be an absolutely blockbuster event. Ancillary has played very good football. I'm not sure if you guys saw on Semisha Sports Online, the top 5 teams, they into the top 5 ranked in there, and they're playing very good football. And they're playing against Valley Legends, who is also a very good team, a very talented, very skillful team. And so this one should be very, very interesting. That's on Saturday night. Let me tell you, I think I have to go view Fort from Friday, because the following game will feature Central Viewfort versus Viewfort South. That game is at 8 p.m. I had a little conversation with Bosco. This man supports his football at the Mabia Valley. And I asked him, how is TT doing? Because, I mean, when you have a striker like Titus TT Elva, if he's fit, you know that's a huge difference maker. Was he able to rest during the break and that sort of thing? And of course, in typical Bosco fashion, yeah, man, you ready? So, Central Viewfort, they'll be coming up against T-Goat and Viewfort South. A shout out to T-Goat, man. Very good player, and obviously one of my favorite Calypsonians playing for that team, Educator. Very, very good game to look out for. Not a very critical player in that game is Donald Dave Albert, played for Viewfort South, and so that should be a very keenly contested event. Saturday night, 8 p.m. at the Philip Master Grounds. I can't wait. On Sunday, 2 more big games. Soufre. I can't believe I forgot to shout out Soufre in terms of support for St. Lucia Sports Online. Shout out to Soufre. These people really love their football. Again, hopefully we can get some football going very soon in that area. I'm talking about on the national level. We know that there were some sanctions placed by the St. Lucia Football Association, so I'm not sure how much that affected the fixture. But Soufre definitely on top of the power rankings. A very good team. Jerome Barboy Seville still playing like like nobody business. As a matter of fact, if you were supposed to pick an MVP of the tournament or give a trophy for best player so far, it would definitely be him. And Soufre topped the group, and WO is not even playing, injured. I think he has a broken leg or something, and Soufre still looks very, very good. Shout out to W. Hope he gets better very, very soon. So very, very good team. They're coming up against Miku. Miku had to wait until the last day to get into the business end of the tournament, but we know Miku, when business comes around, it's business time. They were able to finish third last year, so definitely a good game. And then at 7 p.m., Dennery All Blacks. They come up against Grosley, my team. I have to say my team, if anybody don't know, I'm from Grosley, born and raised. I make no bones about it. And if you want to call me biased, I will be proud. Let me tell you, what people call me biased. You really biased for Grosley? Trust me, that is not an offensive statement. That's a statement I take with pride. Born and raised Grosley, Francis Babalastic and the guys from Grosley. I mean, obviously, I'll be supporting them. I cannot divorce myself from where I'm from. It's impossible. I cannot, rather than suppress it, I'd rather everybody know and call me biased and finish with that. Because Denry, obviously, guys, I said how much I love you guys, but you're coming up against Grosley at 7 p.m. Shout out to Mike from Grosley. Obviously, from Denry, most of my partners there, we're talking about Constable. Shout out to Constable. Shout out to Prosper and the whole crew from Denry All Blacks scoring this year, but Grosley will lock it down. So, very interesting matchup scheduled for this weekend. I definitely hope you guys are able to take in some of those events. Very good games are scheduled. All right, so definitely a lot to look out for in terms of veterans football. Like I said, Saturday 6 p.m. Ansari versus the Valley Legends, 8 p.m. Central Viewport versus Viewport South. On Sunday, Soufre versus Miku, and that's at 5 p.m. And at 7 p.m., Denry All Blacks, they take on Grosley. So that should be very interesting. So that's veterans football. Like I said, you guys could send in your WhatsApp at 4880929. I'll take in some of that after the break. All right. Also, there was also Free Kick Foundation football on the weekend. They had their player showcase at Beausejour, and obviously we featured that. I want to say one thing about Free Kick Foundation. When I was growing up, there was nobody could at 12 and 13 tell me that, if any level of certainty that there was something, something there for you if you were able to play football and do your work. Most of the times, the aspiration was just probably to go to Trinidad and, play a little something, which is all good. But with the advent of the Free Kick Foundation, we see young persons now having at their disposal the ability to get scholarships, albeit partial scholarships, to actually go out to universities. And obviously, when you get there, anything can happen in terms of scholarships and furthering your education. So this is something that persons really need to gravitate towards. The SLFA has been supporting it, and so the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports also very supportive of the Free Kick Foundation, and there's a reason for it. So footballers, get your act together. Start doing your SATs, start studying, start doing what you need to do while training every day in order to get into that program. And we also saw on the weekend St. Lucia participating in the Tri-Nation Series. Grenada, St. Vincent, and St. Lucia. They played in a netball tournament. St. Lucia doing very well over there. The component of the team of Team St. Lucia was a balanced one in terms of young and veteran. And we saw veterans such as Shem Maxwell accompanying the team. I saw DeSelva Flotton, I have to call her veteran, because we played in at the same time, Windward Island Games, as part of the team. Melissa Charles, a teacher at Ira Simmons, as part of the team. And we also saw for the first time a young 14-year-old making that national team and definitely being able to gain some experience from the older people. St. Lucia did very well. St. Lucia actually won that tournament. They lost only one game, and they were able to beat St. Vincent. Now, if you know anything about netball history, St. Vincent in the Windward Islands has been a force to reckon with, just an absolute force. And getting the victory over St. Vincent is always something we pride ourselves in doing. So this should be very, very interesting. Hopefully I get a conversation with Shem and the girls when I see Vern there as part of the team as well, young from Soufre stand up. And so should be very, very happy that St. Lucia was able to do very well at that competition. All right, so we definitely have a lot to look forward to in our discussions tonight. We have a guest tonight that will be talking to us about a lot of things. I just have to say youth development and sports, because this guest has been doing it. When we talk about veterans who's been in the pot for a while, we're going to be talking all things sports development. We're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about the 2018 ceremony of the 2017 Sports Awards. We'll be discussing some of the nominations, the associations, the players, the main players, the stakeholders, and we're going to be looking at how this ceremony will be happening this year. All right, so St. Lucia, as you can see, I'm not sure if most of you guys could see, we always start our year with New Year's resolutions. Most of us do. If you haven't, then you probably need to get to doing it. And one of my New Year resolutions was to definitely be healthier. And if you go to any doctor, the first step in better health, if you're looking at diabetes, if you're looking at hypertension, if you're looking at any ailment of the body, the first thing they would gravitate towards is your water intake. And at the end of last year, I said I would make it my responsibility to encourage water consumption. I will use my platform to encourage water consumption because really and truly, this is my contribution to the fight against all the ailments that St. Lucia seem to be increasing in terms of the numbers of occurrences, and we really need to do something about it. And obviously, I express my sentiments to Blue Waters, and they were gracious enough to not just advertise but to really provide me with the water for my guests for during my show. And I've always said that we need to definitely encourage each other. Water consumption is something that should be done as a team. If you look at sports, most people pass around bottles and that sort of thing. But we as St. Lucians need to encourage each other. Have you had a glass of water today? And most of the time when I ask somebody that, the answer is no. Or they had juice, or they did something, or they would say yes, and they know deep down the answer is no. Or they only had one for the entire day. So what I'm going to do is every single Monday, in collaboration with Blue Waters, I will actually stop and I will ask persons that are watching, get a glass of water, keep your channel locked just before we go to break, and get a glass of water. All right, if you do not have Blue Waters at your home yet, something must be wrong with you. I mean, get one, make sure you're watching the show and you're consuming, at least during that time, at least you're sipping some. I would hope that you drink most of your water during the day, because you obviously advise not to consume too much, but I would like for you to have at least one bottle of Blue Waters with me while you're watching the show. Just sip and chat and participate. All right, so what we want to do is, you guys obviously watching with a companion or friend or family member, take a picture of you consuming your Blue Waters. If it is in a mug, that's okay, and send it to us. You could send it to St. Lucia Sports Online at gmail.com. You could send it to the website, and we will create a nice montage and we will play it before we go to break on our next segment. So, Pueblo. All right, so we'll take a break. When we come back, I'll introduce my guests to you guys, and we're going to open the lines a little bit later on. I'm going to read some of your messages on 4880929, and we're going to have more discussion. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. to 758 Sports Talk, and you could already see my guest tonight. No surprise there, Mr. Patrick Mathre. He is from the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports, a youth and sports officer. He's been here before, and we're here to discuss the upcoming, the 38th edition of the Sports Awards, National Sports Awards. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
How have you been?
I've been great. This year, 2018, seemed to have been a great year in terms of the enthusiasm for sports.
2017 or
2018?
So you're talking about what's
to come.
Okay,
so I'm saying it started with a great enthusiasm
for
sports.
Well, you're correct.
And I'm saying that I just believe that this enthusiasm will translate himself into a great results for this country, St. Lucia.
I hope so.
It's going to be a marvelous sports year. And it started.
Yeah. I feel the vibe, and Kimani took it to another level, because just before that, people were anticipating a lot of things. I mean, we had the OACS Boxing Championship, and we saw that boxing match between Lindell Rush and Masley against that guy from Guadeloupe, and he came out on top for St. Lucia. And I mean, I find that we in the media did not do enough to really show what that meant, because this means that this category in the Caribbean region, the best came out of St. Lucia.
That's right.
And then we moved over to the new year, and I feel you on that. Let me just get to the messages, because there are so many before we get deep into what we're doing.
Sure.
All right. Somebody said, big up Kenson. Tell them watch out. G-Dog. That's Central Viewfort. So the Pikongs are already Central Viewfort versus Viewfort South. Somebody says, you killed me with the water drinking there. Kudos to you on that initiative. You were right about everything. Let's hope it goes a long way. Pueglo, Tutmun. Everybody drink water. All right. Somebody says, hi, good night. I'm from Clendon Mason Memorial. We are having our annual school sports on the 15th of February 2018. So, St. Lucia, Clendon Mason, they're having their thing on the 15th. So, school sports already starting, because this is the term for that. Yes. And so, I know for sure there will be a lot of discussion on that. All right. Anyway, we'll get back to some of that. So, Mr. Mathre, Sports Awards. Yes. Give St. Lucia the general breakdown, as we say in a sports story. When, where, what? Talk to us.
Okay. The annual Sports Awards, National Annual Sports Awards, again happens this year. And for those persons who may not have known, I'm saying to you that the annual Sports Awards is held every Saturday. The Saturday before Independence of every year. It's a national activity, it's a major activity, and we have actually dated it to happen the Saturday before Independence. And so it has worked out well for us, except on certain days when Independence would have fallen on the Sunday, and then the Saturday might be taken off from us for other activities. But it's generally, it is the Saturday before Independence. And this year will be the 30th staging of the annual Sports Awards. We have decided to start to look at something different this year, because we're already looking forward to our 40th anniversary as a country. And so we have plans next year, although it will not be the 40th anniversary, but in terms of the celebration, we started having plans for next year to make it a big affair. So this year we've started, and we gradually going. This year we'll be moving to the Royalton Hotel. We have moved out of the cultural center because we feel that the prestige of sports awards over the years has not shown itself, and we want it to be a prestigious event. We want the event to be akin to a black tie event, where you just don't appear and say, well, I knew if you had seen me, you'd have them to come to Sports Awards. No, you have to be invited to Sports Awards. We want to show St. Lucia, we want to show the world that we appreciate our sports persons, and we want to make this event a prestigious event on the 17th of February. That's the Saturday before Independence. We start at 7. It's basically a 2-hour ceremony where there are a few changes that we've made this year to ensure that we keep a tight production and to ensure that we pay homage to our sports personalities, be them individuals, athletes, administrators, coaches, or whoever else is involved in sports. Maybe we will not see it happen this year, but there are plans to even try to see if we get the fan of the year.
Okay.
The fan of the year.
Definitely. Fan of the year. And another one I've always spoken about, I'm not sure if it's been done before, but the sports venue of the year. Because when you look at sports venue of the year, that would be keenly contested.
Ah,
Looking at, you have to throw Deriso in the mix, you have to throw Mabia Valley, you have to throw Soufrière, you have to throw Vieux in the mix, and these are fanatics.
yes.
They define fanaticism. Fanaticism. They define fanaticism. So I mean, that is another thing that we can definitely look out for in the future. So tell us some of the associations, some of the associations that have put up themselves for nomination, and tell us some of the different components of sports awards for this year.
Well, first of all, Kenson, one of the things that we have, which is one of the major changes that we have done for sports awards this year, over the years, we would have asked persons to nominate persons, which we did this year, but slightly different because this year we have changed slightly in the sense that instead of the everybody who's been nominated by the association receiving an award as was done in previous years, we are basically actually doing a two-in-one ceremony. So we were honoring and rewarding your own personality for you on the night, and then we would have done our own bit on the national level. This year we're separating it. We're saying to you that we're recognizing national personalities. So although you in a sense would not be sending your individual personality, but you'll be sending your nominee to be chosen as the sports person or the sports personality of the year, which is a slight difference. It would seem the same, but we're concentrating on those persons. So on the night in question, the focus for the night will be on the shortlisted persons, which 5 from the sportsman of the year, 5 from the sportswoman of the year, 3 from the junior categories, both for sportsmen and sportswomen. So on that evening, the individual athletes would be highlighted and the 16 persons who have been shortlisted.
All right.
So we have changed slightly in that we want to give them more of a prominence. However, we would invite all the nominees from all of the associations who have submitted. And as I speak, I'm saying to you that there were 35 in total individual nominees. Actually, there were from 13 associations coming in. And we do have at least 20 associations in Lucia. Some of them are not as active, but we are happy that we got 35 nominees coming from certain associations. And of course, as always, Special Olympics, they're always in the mix, and they have also submitted a nominee. And they don't compete actually for the sports personality of the year, but we always recognize our Special Olympians, always.
Well, as with everything we've changed, you will get some form of feedback. How has that gone in terms of the public sphere, the associations? How do they feel about the move from, because this would significantly shorten, because I have been to sports awards, and even as a participant or nominee, and for years it's been very, very long. What's the feedback on the move to having that done this way?
Well, when we met with the associations and we explained the rationale, they were very happy. As a matter of fact, what we indicated to them that the ministry, the Department of Youth and Sports would support smaller ceremonies. So if the Athletics Association and Netball Association wants to have their own individual ceremony where they could recognize more persons in their individual sport, we'll be more than happy to support that. And so that is the trade-off that we have done. We're going to support you with your ceremonies, but at the national level, we want to make it that prestigious event. And they bought into the idea. They really like it. And of course, we won't take away something from you completely and not give you anything in return. So that basically was the trade-off. And the feedback that we're getting from the public, from the associations, has been wonderful. Wonderful.
Right. So let me just throw it out there. Now I smile and it means I'm going to say something real stupid. Is there any doubt? Is there any doubt who the sportsman? Okay, so we do this every, and we're looking at. Okay, let me pull back. Let me pull back. In terms of the process, who decides? Who decides who wins what? Okay. Let's just make that. Let's just do that in terms of transparency.
Okay, there is well, there's a shortlist, and the shortlist is selected by a panel from within the ministry, and that shortlist is now sent out to the judges. We now have 5 judges. We're not at liberty at this point to say who the judges are. They will be on the night, and those judges are persons who have been involved in sports. They have a specific criteria, and the criteria speaks largely to performance. largely to performance. At least 70% of the criteria is about performance, because remember, for the sports personality, the individual personalities of the year, we're looking at a period which is 1 year, from January 2017 to the 31st of December 2017. So we're saying to you that based on your performance during that calendar year, you'll be chosen as the sports personality. So all performances should have been in the year under review. And it is based on that the judges have been given a specific criteria which they look at. They are judged individually, so there is no collaboration. And you come in, you tally the scores, and you get your sportsman, sportswoman, junior sportsman, and sportswoman. And I'm saying this to make the distinction that persons sometimes say to us senior sportsman or senior sportswoman. I am saying that the category is sportsman and sportswoman, simply because we recognize that in 1 year you may have an outstanding junior who has performed his peers at the older level and become the sports personality of the year. It has happened before. Laverne Spencer, junior sportswoman of the year, sportswoman of the year. Darren Sammy, junior sportsman of the year, sportsman of the year.
And we look like we're looking at that. This is where I'm coming to now. That's why I say let me reverse so I can come back again. Yes. Because Kimani Melius, I mean, in terms of having a stellar year, in terms of representation, he has done wonders. Okay, so in the event that we're having those honors, and we know for sure, we do, right? We know, I mean, he's 16, he's turning 17, I think, this month. Yeah. And I mean, he has done stuff on a global level, a regional level. And for some, having him win pretty much those honors, some feel like it should be some distinction, because you look at, even in terms of, I've had a conversation over the weekend in terms of the exploit of the boxer. I mean, who did very well at the boxing championship, at every single championships, 3 championships, undefeated for the year. And so some people would say that perhaps we should make that distinction to really recognize that regional exploit as well. What do you say to those people?
I say to those people that it's a discussion that we've had in the past. We've a discussion we continue to have, and every year when we meet with the associations, that same discussion comes up. And we recognize that, look, you're looking at performance, and whether you're a junior athlete or a senior athlete, your performance will actually give you that accolade that you're looking for. So for us at the ministry standpoint, it really does make a difference, and to us it's an easy fix in terms of how we look at it. Performance will sell you whether you're junior or senior. And now in the case of Kimani, I really don't even know, so to speak, as to what it is, because as has indicated, yes, the Cricket Association has nominated persons. And to be honest with you, we really don't know who those persons are, because they have asked us to keep it under wraps until the awards evening, which should have happened last Saturday, but my understanding, there were some issues, and it will happen this Friday. And based on that, afterwards we had liberty, and then when we open up their own envelope based on what they have said, then we'll say maybe Kimani's in, Kimani's out. But more importantly, it has to be that the association would have put forward the names of the person. So if, for instance, the association would have said, okay, we have Kimani in the junior category, but in the other category, sportsman, sportswoman, they have somebody else, then and Kimani does not win Sportsman of the Year, and persons will say, but what happened? It is simply because he was nominated in one category as opposed to more than one.
Okay. We have a situation where last year, and anytime you're going to be giving out awards, you would have section of the population satisfied, and you would have dissatisfaction. I mean, I have gone on record as saying last year I was shocked that the Football Association, and at the end of the day, this is my subjective, and I would pass it off as objective, because I mean, as a sports journalist, you go around St. Lucia, you see what's going on in terms of development programs and everything, that I thought last year that the Football Association probably should have been Association of the Year. And obviously when you look at the exploits of cricket, definitely grassroots program. If you look at them, Kimani Milius is the Northern Grassroots program, it came out, Kiana also from that, and you see some of the work from the grassroots program. And for some, a focus should not be on winning competitions, but the overall development from grassroots up. In terms of the associations of the year, um, I'm not sure how much you are at liberty to say. What is the general criteria for a decision made on who wins that?
Okay, generally the criteria used is really one, as you said, it's a wide-ranging one. It's not just about competitions. It's yes, there's an element where you discuss the performance of national teams, but more importantly for us, it's the whole development of the association. Not just as you said in competitions, but also in terms of your membership. How have your members progressed in terms of numbers? Have they increased in numbers? Your individual affiliates, how structured are they? How many developmental programs that you had in workshops, in administration, workshops in coaching and training, and it's a whole range. We have a quite a broad category in terms of who we look at, what we look at before we judge the association of the year. So yes, we do look at a whole host of things, and sometimes, like you say, it's very subjective based on what was submitted, which is another issue that you would have seen as a sports journalist, that all of these things are happening and so on. And when we get the form and we look at the form,
you have to go by what's on the form.
And sometimes it is just woeful that what has been submitted just does not, in your own mind, and this is something that we have as a ministry, is something that the association say, that should we only go with the information submitted on the form, or should we find another system? For instance, if you as a youth and sports officer would know more, should you now include that? And how subjective is it? Because, well, at least the structure of the ministry has changed slightly, and where the youth and sports officers were all assigned associations. And guess what would have happened if all us youth and sports officers come and say, look, my association did more than this and more than that. They didn't submit, but I'm submitting now. And so we had to be very open and transparent in how we dealt with the particular issue.
But doesn't that go back to the judges? Because if you're going to select, you're going to send the criteria, you're going to associations are going to send their recommendations. Wouldn't it be rectified by selecting, first of all, very competent judges that actually they're on the ground and they have a very good idea of what's going on, coupled with whatever is given to them to sort of make those decisions?
Well, yes, Kenson, but the only issue is that the association of the year is not chosen by the judges. It is chosen by the ministry. Okay. So the officers are the ones who actually sit and judge which is the association of the year, based on the information.
That is why I asked, should it be done with the judges? that you actually, the question I'm asking is, shouldn't that be something that you get competent individuals? I'm not saying the ministry officials and those individuals, but I mean on some level, or probably a mixture of both, the ministry along with those judges, as opposed to just the ministry.
Yeah, I think it's something that could be looked at. I wouldn't sit here and say that there are not flaws in the system. And sometimes even within the ministry we disagree.
But it's come a long way.
Yes, well, that's true.
It's getting better. So
we do disagree at times, and sometimes at the end of the day, because there have been years when as an individual I've looked at it and I've said, look, I think maybe it would have gone this way versus this way. But because I work in the ministry, I'm not at liberty to say sometimes how I feel. Maybe I suspect I will do like the world leaders, and eventually when I leave the ministry, write a book.
I'll read that one. I will get it for sure. I'll definitely get it. All right, so we've touched on a number of things there. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to open the lines. I still have a couple of questions to ask you, but I'm going to allow St. Lucia to call in with their questions and their concerns as well. So we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll have more for you with Mr. Patrick Maffrey. Welcome back to 758 Sports Talk, and we are going to open the lines. I want to say shout out to Natalie Jules from Viewfort, someone who always supports the football, always at the Philip Masley grounds, and also very big supporter of St. Lucia Sports Online. I must say that I always share my stories and commenting on them. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. We have a number of messages. Somebody said, good evening. The St. Lucia Athletics Association first meet for the year, and the athletes had to pay bus fare to and from Viewfort. It's a shame for athletics. That present executive is ridiculous. They had no awards last year. Look now, athletes have to pay their way to meet now. So that's for another show. We have to talk about athletics. We have to have a special show for athletics in terms of where are we in athletics. All right. So somebody said, can you remember any news or anything memorable about the junior sports male person nominated by the Football Association? As a sportscaster, do you think the Football Association got it right? Can't you remember any other young person in football that gave much better performance for 2017? We're not going in who's nominated or who was sent, because you didn't even mention who. And as was indicated, that would be released shortly so that you could start making your comments and saying who you think you're well within your right to do as well. So good stuff. Somebody says good information. Somebody says, okay, I can't read that. Okay, all right, that's good. All right, so we are opening the phone lines. The number to call is 451-9788, 451-9788. We're taking your calls. We have our very first caller. Good evening. You're live on 758 Sports Talk. Go ahead with your contribution.
Yes. Good evening,
Good
customer.
Yes, madam.
Okay. Good night. Very good show. And
we have an echo.
Can
you turn on the volume? Can you turn on your volume, because we can barely get your contribution?
Hold on.
Yes, I'll actually wait for you. It's a new year. I'll give you a chance. And guess what I'll do? St. Lucia, we should all do this. Anytime somebody calls and they didn't turn the volume down, we'll just take a sip of water.
Hello?
Yes, madam. Go ahead with your contribution. All right. Happy New Year to you, whoever that was. All right. So we were talking about pretty much the entire ceremony. We have other categories, and we've seen some categories come in, and we've seen some exploits recognized by the department, the ministry. But I have to ask you, how important, and you might find that question strange, how important is the media in the overall development of sports on the island?
Well, that it goes without saying, Kinston. I think the media plays a very critical role, because without media, we if you're not present at the thing, then you would not be in on the action. Although, truth be told, there's nothing better than live action.
Yeah.
But then again, some people are unfortunate based on circumstances, and they cannot do so. So we value the media. We value the work of the media. And one of the changes this year, we will be recognizing the media, and we don't have one single award indicating media personalities, because I think in the past we've been back and forth into as to what should happen, and so we felt that we want to go one step further, and like maybe 2 years ago we had discussions with the media association. I really don't know what's happening with that now, but we're saying that we should recognize the media in a different way, and more so to try and give more credence to sports journalism.
All right, hold that thought to me. Definitely we'll come back to that. Good evening, you're live on 758 Sports Log. Go ahead with your contribution.
Good night, sir. How are you doing?
I'm blessed. Well hydrated.
All right, that's Donga there. I just want to...
All right, could you turn down the volume on your television set? Could you turn down the volume on your television set, please?
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, it's a new year, sorry.
Yes, sir, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I was saying, person have been asking me about the DJ Donga Marketing Cup, whether it's still taking place this year. I just want to use that opportunity to let you know that yes, it is taking place, and of course we have 8 teams cancelled this year, and we're going further east. From Deriso, we have El Ninos. I think El Ninos. From Nikud, we have Upright NFC. From Monico, we have Young Strikers. From Denry, we have defending champions Peter Travel Young Stars and Syria. And from the Valley, we have Rovers United, Tukenes Youth, and of course, Ulo United. And like, of course, we're looking to kick off this Saturday at the live shows playing field.
All right, definitely a competition I look out for every year. And I like expansionists. I like when people decide they're going to move from one level to the next. You guys had the Denry, basically Denry North and South in the competition, and now we're seeing teams like Nino from Deriso, and I think that makes for a very exciting competition. And so it kicks off this Saturday, you say?
Yes, this Saturday at the live shows playing field.
All right, so
From
definitely.
5 p.m.
All right, so definitely we'll be following that closely. I'll be getting all that information from you tomorrow. Definitely we'll be putting it out, and we'll definitely do our best to give you all the coverage that we can as well.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank
all
you.
Right, any question? Any question for my guests? I mean, sports awards coming up.
I just walked in a while ago.
So you say let me just call.
Get yourself a bit.
All right, okay. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Yes.
All right. Yes. So you're talking about the media.
Yes, and I've seen that what we have found is that although that you have a lot of media coverage in terms of the sporting events and what is happening, I think there is a need for us to look seriously into the wider issue of sports journalism. For instance, can you say to the St. Lucian public that we actually take at least one athlete, and currently talking about Kimani, can we now follow the career of Kimani when he started? A lot of persons did not know when he started. It was only after the interview with Bishop, then he said he started 4 years ago. But that is the kind of things that we need to do, so we could follow our athletes and know what they are, give a history, explain to the public what is happening, and so we get a more enlightened public. And when that happens, we will have a more enlightened fan base. And trust me, sports will take off in a different way in this country.
All right. Good evening. You're live on 75 in Sports Talk. Go ahead with your contribution. Thanks for holding.
Yes. In terms of sports development, Patrick, I just want to...
Caller, can you turn down the volume on your television? Jesus Christ. St. Lucia, can you turn down the volume on your television and radio when you're calling the show? Please, 2018, let's do it right. Yes, so you were saying.
Yes, so I am saying that there is a need to, and one of the mandates of the ministry will be exploring that particular aspect of sports. We're looking at sports journalism. We're looking to bring a number of young persons, and it's not an indictment that older persons cannot do it, but as a ministry, have a mandate and do so. So very soon, in the next financial year, you would see us making overtures to young persons to get involved in sport journalism, so we could get a more enlightened public in terms of what we do.
Definitely. Good evening. You're live on 75 at Sports Talk. Go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, Casimir, just saying, very good show as usual.
Thank you.
Keep it up. Good night. God bless.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution, caller. All right. So, all right. All right. I'll not tell Solution what I heard. We have another call coming in. Let's just take that call. Good evening. You're live on 75 at Sports Talk. Go ahead.
Hello.
Could you turn down the volume of your television set, please? I like how healthy I'm getting tonight. All right. So, okay. So we looked at media as another component. What other aspects of awards would you be rewarding on that night?
Of course, we do have the coaches. We always recognize the coaches. The issue for us is whether or not we because it's always an issue of the association sending the coaches in, and whether or not we should, there have been a number of issues there, whether or not we recognize the coaches sent in by the associations alone. Do we recognize our own coaches, because we do have a number of coaches who have been doing some tremendous service to the country. So for now, we're just looking at the coaches submitted by the association, but we will be looking at a whole revamping of the whole situation in terms of coaches.
And there is a set criteria as well
Yes,
for the coaches.
there is a set criteria also for coaches. Because remember the awards are two segments really at the national level, and we also have a segment at the community level where we ask youth and sports clubs, youth and sports councils to submit nominations for persons. So that is another one. We look at administrators because they're also part of the a crucial part of the wheel. So we would be recognizing the number of administrators, and they say that the administrators make those things happen. And so we also do that. We will also be again looking at the posthumous award. Because
that's a nice touch.
There are persons who have not been recognized and who have actually done a great service in the world of sports, and though they have passed on, their memories should live on, and so we definitely can do that. We also have the Esteem Award of Excellence. So there sometimes it's not an award that you may see every year, but from year to year, there may be an individual who has done something maybe for the first time in the history of St. Lucian sport. And you must recognize that individual.
Yeah. I actually have somebody in mind. I'm not sure if the ministry has that person.
God, here we go.
But we had an individual over the last year and a half who pretty much was just, as everything he seemed to be a part of in sports, seemed to have yielded some form of a reward. And I'm talking about Donald Dave Albert. He was a Nasir with the different teams, and it just seemed like just at the end of the day, you know, so many people ask, what was that? What exactly is that job? And at some level, just for a St. Lucian to be part of, for instance, the Pakistan team during the last year, who actually went on to win. I mean, I think that is something that is marvelous and perhaps should be given consideration in terms of recognition of something special that no other person has ever done. And I think that is really, really good. And so I think there's a lot of every year you will get ideas. That's the thing. We're never short as a nation of ideas. It's just the implementation and definitely going to it. So let's talk a little bit about the venue, because we need a little bit of clarity for individuals, because when you know something at Cultural Center, not just Vinny, person bad way, yeah. How exactly are we going to execute this?
Well, as I said, it's an event which is by invitation only, and persons we have our fair share of criticism indicating that, look, boy, I follow the sport all year long, and this time you'll have the sports awards. I'm not invited. You'll have put it at Royalton. But persons have to understand that within the sporting world, that every single person within the sports has his or her role. I mean, the expectation is that the fun is at the venue.
Okay.
The expectation is that the administrators administrate, and not every administrator would be able to come to. I mean, if we were to look and try to invite every single person, we'd maybe have to have it at the National Stadium, and then at the end of the day, you would water down exactly what you're looking for. So we're really looking for the prestigious event. We want to give persons the sense that when you've been invited, you attend the sports awards. That is another notch in your life, and it's something that you could look forward to, something that you would say to your children, that I attended the National Sports Awards.
Top thing. All right. Good evening. You're live on 758 Sports Talk. Go ahead with your contribution. Okay. All right. We seem to have lost that caller. All right. We're going to take a short break. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll have our final segment. Still have a couple of questions for our guests, and obviously I'll get into some of the messages. We'll take a break. We'll be right back here. Right, so welcome back to 758 Sports Talk. A little bit, I'll just tell Solution what actually happened. I've been consuming water for the entire day, and the amount I consumed for the last hour pretty much relegated me to running to the bathroom for a short break. So I'm back now, and I'm seeing some messages that we need to get to. Somebody says, Lisa here, just wanted a shout out to let you know I'm watching every enjoying your show so far. Keep it up. All right, shout out Lisa, shout out Lizzie George from Soufre, just Soufriere, and Soufre people, quality people. Somebody says, let's see that one. Somebody says, start cutting them off. Do you have to repeat that to every caller? I guess in terms of turning the volume down. I'm very patient, so hopefully Solutions would get it. We have a caller. Good evening. You're live on 758 Sports Talk. Go ahead with your contribution.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead with your contribution, caller. Good evening. Can you hear me, caller? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead with your contribution.
Hello, good evening?
Yes, go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, in terms of sports development in St. Lucia, I just want to know what is in place to keep alive the sports women and men in St. Lucia who have made it great in this country. I know you have a book with other members, but I don't see a Lovin Spencer. I don't see Kimani. I don't see none of these great sports personalities. So what is in place for that in St. Lucia? Is there another book coming out or something of this sort?
Oh, in terms of chronicling their life and their actual, what actually happened? Is that what you're referring to? I suspect
That's
the caller
my
is having...
question for tonight.
Okay, thank you very much. I suspect the caller is having difficulties hearing me. Yeah, but the caller's pretty much asking what do we have in store for, in terms of these people, in terms of a book to really chronicle their lives. I have a response, but I want to know
well, apparently the caller is starting to rain on my parade, because that is one of my intentions. As I get in there, I don't really have the time now. I know that the one she's speaking of is Rupert Brunford did write a book a few years ago on outstanding sports personalities.
Yeah.
It was an attempt. I think that's a good volume one, and there's need for follow up, and we have a lot of great selection writers out there. The information is available. You do your research and come. And I mean, I still have a few years left in government, and once I'm done, that's where I'm going.
All right. Well, in terms of my contribution to that, very good contribution, by the way, caller. I suspect you couldn't hear me. But in terms of my contribution to that, you could definitely look out for it. I guess this gives you an opportunity to mention it. You could look out for 758 sports documentaries. We will be doing, it's something that will be very, very similar to, I guess you see, there's this other thing, Untold Stories.
Yes.
It's going to be Untold Stories in sports. We're going to pretty much go from, like I always say, Genesis to Revelation. Look out for it. We will be doing some of the persons that you made mention of to actually give St. Lucia a better view of who these people are and where they came from. I'm having some difficulties with my earpiece. But yes, so we'll be doing that very, very soon. All right, good evening. You're live on 758 Sports Talk. Go ahead with your contribution, caller.
Hi, good evening. Kenson, Paso, Tabby for here.
Hi, Tabby.
I'm just joining in. I might be a little late on the netball. Congratulations.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I want to say big shout out and congratulations to Team 758, St. Lucia. Job well done. Congratulations to my best friend Judy.
I was waiting for it, you know. I was waiting for it, you know.
MVP, I'm really proud of her.
Yeah, man. Judy's been doing her thing for a while, eh?
Pardon?
She's been doing her thing for a while.
Yes.
Happy for her.
I'm proud of the senior players because somebody said they had no more national player life in them, and the team was comprised of our senior players, and they did very well. That means they still have national play life.
Hey, we beat St. Vincent, eh? That's
exactly.
all I wanted to
So that means St. Lucia is still number one in the OECS,
definitely.
after so long.
Yeah, man, definitely, Tabby. But Tabby, you should be in. I mean, you should be in the squad. You should be still doing your thing. There was a commercial competition you could have.
Leave.
Oh, well, congratulations! Was it a girl or a boy? Was it
a boy?
Congratulations!
But I'll be back. I really missed. I saw a few video clips on Facebook that really had me. I really missed it.
Definitely.
But I'm proud of my girls, Shem, Roxanne, the entire team,
Yeah, man.
especially.
We had some newcomers, Vern from Soufre.
Yes. Well, I've not really met those.
The
but
new
those
ones,
I
but I'm
know
just
about.
telling you, yeah, these people are
Big
on
shout
the
out
court
to
doing their
Judy.
thing. Big shout out. Shout out to Canaries, man. Canaries always locked on too. Canaries,
I
yes,
have a little
man.
Canaries blood in me too, so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man, that's
yes.
why I
Oh,
say
yes.
Jacana. Why you think I say Jacana? You have to. Let me tell you, see Canaries
so
people,
big shout out to Team 758.
they could have their grandmother from Canaries. They born and raised Canaries their whole life. All right? Or their father from Canaries. Right? They raised Canaries their whole life. They from Canaries. Hey, there is one called Sadia Chandler. Only on the weekends she going by a friend. But when Canaries playing football, what? She from Canaries.
Kenton, my husband is from Canaries.
Oh my! Jacana,
Exactly, so I have Canaries blood in me.
Of course. All right.
Hi.
Yes.
Thanks.
So, thanks for your contribution, Tabby. Good night. Yes, so definitely. I was getting through some of the messages because we have a lot to get to. Good night, Kenson. I'm watching. Great job. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. That's Yvonne. Shout out, Yvonne. How are you doing? Somebody said, "Hi, hey Kenson. What is the criteria for judging athletes? Is it continuous performance, country representation, medaling? Just join in. So not sure if it was said."
All of them.
Here's your answer. All of the above. Shout out, Indy. Somebody says, okay, I did that one already. Somebody says, you're surprised we beat SVG, a team without an INF ranking. Grenada ranked 21st. Well, I mean, I was aware that they were not ranked, but for me, I never take St. Vincent for granted. I mean, the fact that they're not ranked, it just means for me that the association may not have done what they needed to do to actually play those national games to get those ranking points. But by virtue of the fact that they wanted to participate in that tri-series, it meant that it meant that they would come out with a good team to try and really beat us. And so that's why I was very happy to hear that. Exactly. All right. Somebody says, congratulations to netballers on winning the tri-series over the weekend. I'm going to say who that somebody is. That is the president of Netball St. Lucia, the OTA. All right. We have another caller. Good evening. You're live on the 758 Sports Talk. Go ahead with your contribution. All right. Why is it still on? We missed that caller. Let me see. Good evening. You're live on 758 Sports Talk. Go ahead with your contribution.
Just calling for a correction. Vani is not from Soufre, but representing Forceja.
She's from.
Shout out to Forceja. Yeah, you should shout out to Forceja.
Shout out Forceja. Let me tell you, that's like in Dennery. Like, okay, before I go to Dennery, if you see I in Dennery, the person played for Dennery, and I say, or the person played for Marbia, and I say, Dennery, you mad? I'm not from Dennery. I'm from Marbia.
Well, yeah, you should shout out Forceja.
Shout out Forceja, man. Shout out the twins.
Yeah.
All right.
Just a point of correction.
All right, Vern, I am very sorry. I'm very sorry. Soufre, Forceja is a different.
Okay, just a point of correction. That's okay.
Shout out Forceja, man. Vern Alexander on the national team for the first time doing good stuff. Somebody from Dennery says, I heard you, sir. Although I support Grosvenor, but watch out for All Blacks. History, the making. Dennery All Blacks coming up against Grosvenor on Sunday night in Vieux-Fort. And then definitely have Grosvenor winning that for obvious reasons. Do we have a caller? No caller. All right. So really need to wrap up. We just run out of time. We have a couple of things to get to. Definitely had a montage prepared for you, and for sure, if we do not play that, the Valley people will kill us. So we get to that a little bit later on. So, Mr. Mathre, anything else? Just your last words on Sports Awards this year and what people can look out for.
Well, this, as I said to you, is really a preparation for something even bigger. But we have a few changes. We'll be doing a number of experiments. But as per the norm, we would have the individual awards, and we do have it in the various categories. So we just want. Again, it goes live, so we want persons to look at it with a critical eye, and give us feedback in terms of what they have seen and how we can improve on what we see as a product of the Department of Youth and Sports.
Good stuff. I'm certainly looking forward to a Sports Awards, the 30th staging of Sports Awards, and obviously the discussion. Let me tell you, the discussion will start once everything is released, because everybody have the opinion. And the thing about St. Lucians is everybody's opinion is correct. Don't tell them they're wrong in any shape or fashion. But I know that the ministry is definitely working good to put on a good show, and I just want to say for sure that if St. Lucians think they're just doing it in any form or fashion, I'd like to let you all know that they definitely want to get it right. Yes. The ambition is there to get it right, and so hopefully we can have an event that people are satisfied with. All right, so earlier we spoke about veterans football. Thank you, Mr. Mathre. Earlier we spoke about the veterans football. We spoke about the event on the weekend, the quarterfinals. I gave you guys a full rundown of what to expect this Saturday and Sunday. Let me tell you, on Saturday night, again, let me tell you, it will be absolutely mammoth. We're talking about Viewfort South versus Viewfort Central, and we're also talking about Soufrière and Miku, and we're also talking about on a Sunday night, we're looking at big games again. Grosley versus the All Blacks, a very good game. Definitely a game I'll be looking out for. Definitely, you can always check your updates on St. Lucia Sports Online. We'll definitely be putting out all the information there. For those of you who are watching, somebody told me I didn't shout out those watching on St. Lucia Sports Online. For those of you watching on St. Lucia Sports Online, I'd like to say thank you for your continued support. Blue Waters, thank you guys for coming on board, supplying us with water, keeping us hydrated, and also advertising on our sports show. And definitely shout out to you guys. All right, so we have a montage for you of the events from last weekend. It would be remiss of me not to show you some of the pictures from the quarterfinals of veterans action in the Mabia Valley. So we get to that now. Good night, St. Lucia. See you guys. And next Monday, we have another very interesting show for you. You do not want to miss that. On behalf of our entire sports team, good night.
Shalom. touch down, the whole place shell down. When you see we Juve morning, all we do is when we touch down, the whole place shell down. When we touch down, the whole place shell down. Yo, yo, these are the biggest collab. Dang, 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 dang. Boom. When we touch down, the whole place shell down. When we touch down, the whole place shell down. When we touch down, the whole place shell down. When we touch down, the whole place shell down. The whole place shell down. When we touch down, the whole place. The whole place shell down. When we touch down, the whole place shell down. When we touch down, the whole. When we touch down, the whole place shell down. When we touch down, the whole place shell down. When you see we the whole place shell down. When we touch down, the whole place shell down. When we touch down, the whole place shell down. we touch down, the whole place shallow. When we touch down, the whole place shallow. When we touch down, the whole place. When we touch down, the whole place shallow.